Welcome back to YMT112 Algorithm and Programming 2. We are still discussing Chapter 13, the second part of GUI Applications, and as I said, we have different types of components. We discussed 4 questions so far with different types of lists and components, non-editable text field. We explained also about how to display in a list like a list, in a list of items in a list as an output instead of a text field. So we explain those, we explain the differences between scroll list, combo box, and just plain list, and we showed how we can implement their action or whatever the listener that attached to them, how we register their listening or the action that they are supposed to listen to, and how we can also use a button to apply our customization to the list while we are selecting in multiple interval, for example, and so on. So if you haven't watched these sessions, please get back to them and watch them. Now we will speak about a little bit actually different topic. It's again about the components of GUI, but what we are looking for here is creating an environment, a GUI environment, which allows us to display images or insert images to our applications. So imagine that what I'm requesting from you is creating just a very simple GUI application like this with just a label here and then a button, and this button, when you click on it, you get an image. Let's say the logo of our faculty, or you can insert your own photo or whatever you like to insert. So now we have different types of things that we have to go through. Inserting an image is not very difficult, but it needs you to arrange some ideas before doing so. Let's just go to NetBeans. Okay. So now I have to create a new class. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, let's say I call it what? I call it image. That's easy. Okay. So now leave the package the way it is. You customize your packages. Now what I'm going to have, what I'm going to require in order for me to insert an image, I don't need much of things. I need the swing library, swing class. I need the AWT class and the event Y because I have a button. Okay, so we need the action listening. Now what I'm going to do is I will import those so that I know how to use their classes with no problem. I will be enabled to use their classes with no problem, actually more precisely. So we have the swing, and I need all the class. I don't want to specify one by one, so I will do the same to the AWT java.awt. Then I'm very sorry, and all of the class members, I need the action listening, so java.awt.event, and that's pretty much of what we need. Okay, so far I don't need any. I just need to extend the methods and the attributes of JFrame to my subclass. Extends JFrame. So we need to provide our private attributes. What kind of attributes do we have? We have a label. Okay, we have a button, and we need to have a panel for the image. Okay, and we need to have a panel for the button. That's it. For this one, we don't have exactly a panel. You can create, but it's not needed, and that's it. So I need to have private. Let's start by label, JLabel, and what do we call it? Well, label if you like, or image label, it's up to you. And then what I'm going to do, I will create the private, declare for the private JButton. these components, we go through them one by one, and I create button. I don't have to give it any special name. And then private, we have two panels, one for the image and one for the button. So what I'm going to do is J panel, and I say I have an image panel, and I have also a button panel. Let's capitalize it. All right. We don't have any other private attributes so far. I believe yes, we don't have. Then we go to our constructor. So we create our constructor image, and then we start initializing whatever we have, exactly like what we usually do. Initially, we need to say the name, logo, okay, and then we need to have the default. We need to set the default close operation. I wish I had copied them to save our time. Okay, and then JFrame dot exit on close. Next to that, I'm not going to set up the size. I will set the layout. Yes, set layout. And here what I'm going to do, I will say I have an instantiation for the border. Oh, come on. Okay, I have an instantiation for the border layout. Let me terminate first. So new border layout, okay. And then I don't want to forget about the visibility, but let me build the panels. So I provide their which panel we build. First we build the image panel, then we build the button panel. We need to pack them up. We need to set them first to their regions, then we need to pack them up. So I need to add to where. So adding here is not enough. What we need to do is we need to add the these panels to somewhere. So I have image panel, and it seems to us as centralized. Let me show you here. It's centralized, this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I use border layout. You're familiar with this. Layout dot center, and then we do the same to the other component. What's the other component that we have is the button. So button panel, and then I place it to the south region. Layout dot south. Okay, now we pack them up, and I don't want to forget the visibility, set visible. So earlier I forgot it and we ended up not seeing anything. So that's pretty much of the constructor component. Set visible, of course it must be true, otherwise I will just be unable to even run not see. Okay, so what do we have? The build image panel. So let's create it. Okay, so set it to private. Let me go up a little bit so it will be more visible to you. Private void, I have no return, and now the name is build image panel and no arguments. Now what are we going to do? We need to create initially in this image I have a component which is an image panel, so I have to create it. That what we do, we start by the panel, then with the component, we place the component on the panel. So image panel. And someone asked me before, I mean, I received this question, what will happen if I create the, for example, let's say I create the label of the image first, then I instantiate, sorry, or yeah, I instantiate the image, the label. Then after that I place the label on the image. What will happen? Nothing. But it's just a matter of, you can say, order usually we follow, so that you don't forget what you're supposed to create. So new jpanel panel, okay, and then I have a label, so I need to create it. Label, I called it label, yes. So equals new JLabel, okay, label. And here what I'm going to insert is I need to insert the label, the text of the label that we have. What was the text? Let us check. Click here to see our faculty's logo. Click here. Click here. Well, here is not exactly fit. Click to see. Or no. Actually, I don't think it is suitable because I'm not clicking. This is not a button. Click below. Yeah, well, that sounds better. Click below to see our faculty, capital or small, it doesn't matter. Faculty is logo. Okay, that's it. Then we need to place this label to the panel. So what I'm going to do, I use the image panel and .add, and then I place my component on this panel. So what's the component that I want to place here? Label. Okay. Next to that, I'm done with the image label. So I will go to the button. So private void bold button panel, and then what are we going to have here is void also for the arguments. We need to create the button. So what was the name of the button? First, before I create the button, I better create the panel. So new jpanel. And as I said, it wouldn't make a difference, but I wouldn't forget it at least, okay? So in that case, I have the panel set. Then I need to have my button. So I will just say button equals new jbutton. This is capital, okay? And then, do we have any name? Yes, the name I remember. Let me check. Get logo. Yeah, get logo. Get logo. Right. So terminate here. Then, what are the other components that we have? If you want to set any image to your button, you can do it. How? Let's say if you are interested to just have some image set to your button, only button, not receiving any other thing like this. For example, I can say set icon. So I can set an icon, small tiny image, not exactly an image, but it's still, the icon is an image, but it will be set to the button itself, and you need to provide from where you will get it. So try to do it. Try to do this. I will not do it for you. Try to do it. You can change, instead of having only text, you can have text and image, or you can add an icon for the button. Now what I'm going to do is I will add the action to the button. Add action listener, and I will instantiate the class that I will use for my action listening. So it's button listener. I also keep receiving these questions from time to time. Can we change the name of this class, you can do that. This is a user customized, or sorry, programmer customized name. But usually we use button listener. Why? Because we are listening to the button in this case, okay? So now we are almost there. We need to place our button to the panel. So we have a button panel, and then we need to add the button itself, and we are almost there. Okay. The last thing, we need to implement the action listener. Why? We just created it, so we need to have some sort of action listening. Now what happens? We need to insert an image when we click on a button. So let's start by creating the private class of the button listener. Okay, implements action listener. Okay, and then we have to implement all the abstract methods. So we have action performed. You are familiar with it, as we always say. Void. So we have the action, a small action performed, and then what we have here is we need to provide. Earlier I made a mistake on this one, action event. So I need to exactly do it the way the name is provided here, so that it will be an override of valid override. Now we can change this one. It's not necessarily E, or maybe whatever event. You can write it even event if you like. It doesn't matter. It's a variable name, okay? But this one should be the same. Earlier I typed this one lowercase and I got stuck somewhere for a few seconds. Then I discovered it. Now look at here. What we need to do, what's the action that we are supposed to do? Inserting an image. So we need to have an instantiation of image. So I can use image icon. I call it logo equals to new image icon. It's a component also. We have it in our GUI applications, very similar to the components that we use, but this is not exactly a J component, okay? It's not like JList, JText field, so on, so on, so on, no. So this is the idea. Now I will say I have an image. I'll call it logo, lowercase, dot, let's say JPEG, okay? And I'll download it from the internet and show you how we can do it. Now, I have already customized, or actually set where my image is. Now when I say my image is found here with this string, that means it's in the base folder of this program here, somewhere in this folder here, this semester 2 2020 tutorial. So I'll show you how we can place it, okay? If you are going to have it from somewhere else, you need to specify all the URL where it is supposed to be there or available, okay? Now what I'm going to do, I'll say, okay, image, let's say label, or we said label directly, right? Not image label, I forgot. Yeah, label, not image label. I said earlier, I said image label or label, then I typed label and I forgot, okay? So label dot, I need to set the icon, okay? Set the icon to logo, okay? I don't want to provide any text. You can, but if you want to set some text, you can do it. For example, here set text. I don't want to add any text, it's not there, but if you want, you can. It will be just displayed, I mean, along with the image that you insert, null. And then next to that, we have two components here, or actually two things like the icon and the text. And in that case, we need to pack. And then that's pretty much of it. Now we are done with this private class. I need to go to the main, public static void main, and then we need to instantiate the class new. What's the class's name? Image. So we need to instantiate it. I don't need to assign the reference of this instantiation anywhere. That's enough. So I think we are done with this. We don't have any problem except for only one thing. This logo is not available in the folder because I just created this folder. I mean, it has no this image, well, I believe. Now, let me just go to the wherever I'm storing this NetBeans programs or projects. So what I'm going to do is I open all these projects. Now, this one, semester 2 2020 tutorial, and I don't have it. So I need to get the image. I can get it from the internet, our logo. Okay, tech.frat.edu.tr, and then I need to get this logo. Let me download it. Save image as. Now I'm going to place it exactly where I was telling you about, the NetBeans projects, and then semester, okay, tutorial. I'll place it here. I'll just change the name to logo lowercase, and I believe it is JPEG. I used it before, number of times I used it, so that's why I believe it will just immediately work in this case. Let's just try. Okay, we got our output, the one we are supposed to create. Okay, now let's click and see. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, pay attention, if this image is not JPEG, you need to specify the extension. There are other extensions, and based on them, you can have the image loaded to your system or inserted to your system. Now, the idea of having such an image is quite critical, or actually widely available in GUI applications, where we visualize things, we import things as images, and there are many applications. In the next video, I give you an assignment that you are supposed to do, or think of it as a homework, how you can customize some images based on practical, you can say, solution for throwing dice. Like, instead of throwing real dice, you will use a computer program to simulate this throw using images. We did it before using just math and some random module. Now we will do it based on images. I'll just move to that session soon enough. Until then, have a good time. Goodbye.